No, Dan's never going to be able to get them all out.
Did you notice that you went on a roll of fucks in the last minute?
No, but it's after we stopped recording.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Is that fucking Foley in here?
Welcome to Born to Watch, where three old mates review and discuss movies that mean the most to them.
Hi there, fellow watchers. It's that time of the week again. Born to Watch time. Excited, Gal?
Very excited. So pumped for this week.
Yeah, look, we're live again from the Panic Room. And this week we're talking about 1984's Eddie Murphy action comedy epic, Beverly Hills Cop. Mate, I am pumped to talk about this one. We seem to be sticking in our comfort zones here. We've had about 17 Kurt Russell films, and this is the second Eddie Murphy one we're covering. Gal, what do you got to say about that?
Well, how good is he? For one, he's just awesome, and he nails it in this movie.
Yeah, there's no doubt he crushes this one. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. You're suffering a little bit from premature adulation, and leave that to me. Right?
Well, I am. I mean, I grew up watching Eddie Murphy, so
yeah, on repeat.
On repeat.
This was Eddie's fourth movie, and this is really the one that made him a superstar. He had 48 Hours, Trading Places, Best Offense, which was a bit of a flop, and then the Beverly Hills Cop. This is the one that made him a legit star. There's no doubt. But before we get any bananas stuck in our tailpipe, let's meet the team officially. With me in the studio, the number two, you've already heard from him quite a bit, is the G-Man. How are you, mate?
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Great. And live again from Noosa, wearing the hat, is Dan from the land. How are you, bud?
Gents, very well. Another week. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you, mates, and you're looking just an absolute treat, as always. I get to see you on the camera. Yeah, doesn't. Lucky me. And as seems to be the new tradition of Born to Watch, we've had a couple messages come in from some of our super fans. This one comes from another continent, and I'll read this one out. This is from JB from South Africa. The episodes are getting better each week. Gow's lyrics were incredible for You've Got a Mullet, but he's got to work on his delivery. Stan Bush, kick-ass credit song is fast becoming my favourite segment, and JB gives us 5 robots. So, mate, thank you, JB. It's a pleasure having you on board from across the sea.
Wow, that's high praise, JB. High praise, but I'd just like you to know that I've been known as the songbird of my generation. That good.
Yeah, you are that good, Gow. You're proving people wrong.
And it's the Bohemian Rhapsody of our time.
Do you reckon JB knows Muppy?
You might.
We've also got another message from a great fan, and it's also about Gow. He's really starting to turn some heads online. Gow's song has more choruses and verses than American Pie.
It's up there.
Yeah, and that's from Damo from Redland Bay. What a guy.
Excellent work, Damo. Love it.
And he also wanted to make a comment about how Morgs watches a movie 40 times and on the 41st time then decides it's shit. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, this is without a doubt the movie that sent Eddie into the stratosphere and essentially gave him a license to do whatever he wants, which was good because it got us coming to America, but it was bad because it got us Vampire in Brooklyn. But I'll take some of those bad ones because there's some absolute quality in those movies that we get from him in the early days.
Well, he was on a heater.
Yeah.
Right through the 80s.
Yeah, he
and
was.
Then a couple of maybe ordinary ones, but then he started to fall off a little.
He does a little. And,
2000s.
After Beverly Hills Cop, we've got Golden Child. Then we've got Beverly Hills Cop 2, which I think is arguably as good, if not better, a movie.
Great.
It's
Great
really
movie.
good. And then we've got, which I think is his absolute number one movie, which is Coming to America. Definitely one of the strongest starts to a career of any actor, period. There's no doubt.
Well, he was the first actor to be paid $1 million for his first role in a movie.
Really?
Yeah.
God, you bring the heat every week, yeah.
Give him the heater.
Every week. And look, we discussed that most of his early stuff holds up really well today. We weren't huge fans of The Golden Child, but Beverly Hills Cop absolutely is as good today as it was in 1984.
Yeah. Yeah, watched it last night and just loved it again.
Yeah. And another movie, we seem to be doing this quite a bit, another movie that gives you exactly what you're going to get from minute one. You know exactly what you're in for from the minute that you see Eddie in the truck with the cigarettes trying to do the deal. And from then on, it's just balls to the wall. It's great. I love it. Gow, tell us about the movie.
All right, here's a tagline. In Detroit, a cop learns to take the heat. In LA, he learns to keep his cool. The heat is on in this fast-paced action comedy starring Eddie Murphy as Axel Foley, a street-smart Detroit cop tracking down his best friend's killer in Beverly Hills. Axel quickly learns that his wild style doesn't fit in with the Beverly Hills Police Department, which assigns 2 officers to make sure things don't get out of hand. Dragging the stuffy detectives along for the ride, Axel smashes through a huge culture clash in this hilarious high-speed pursuit of justice. Featuring roles by Paul Reiser, Bronson Pinchot, and Damon Wayans, Beverly Hills Cop is an exhilarating, side-splitting adventure.
I agree. I think it is. I think it's great. Morgs, what do you reckon?
First of all, I wanted to thank the guys at Capital Brewing in Canberra for sending me a whole heap of free piss this week. So thank you. I really appreciate it. And everyone out there who's listening and happens to own a brewery, I make sure I drink every last drop of whatever I get sent. So yeah, thank you. But what was your question?
Does the truck ever come by the GC on the way?
No, Morgs is keeping it all himself, and it's probably good. It's the only thing that gets him through the hour and a bit with us on the line. So anything about Beverly Hills Cop, Morgs, before we get into the trailer?
Yeah, rewatching it this week, I just thought the start was so awesome. We talk a bit about needle drops, and I know that's been superseded by the great Stan Bush kick-ass credit song. But as far as a 1-2 punch for 2 tracks to start a movie, you go from The Heat Is On, Glenn Fry, just fuck the Eagles, I'm out of my own, and just absolutely brings it. What an absolute belter! The Heat Is On for the brilliant car chase at the start with the semi-trailer, which is just an incredible scene itself. But then into the Pointer Sisters with Neutron Dance.
yeah.
So I can't say that I would have thought I'd be a Neutron Dance fan, but just when it is lit up on the screen with that brilliant opening in Detroit, I think it's fantastic. So I know that we'll talk about music a bit later, but the Axel F theme as well was a absolute stalwart for G Money back in Year 9 music class. So he didn't do that for his final his final task. That was the Star Wars theme, of course. But Axel F was one of your best, wasn't it, G Money?
Mate, that was the first one I ever learned on the organ. You know, me and Steno's got it down.
I was going to say I was transported back to Annandale Crescent.
Yeah. I managed to get it down one hand, couldn't get the second hand.
Yeah, mate. No, I was transported watching this, so it took me back, yeah.
Mrs. Bird was a hard taskmaster.
Mrs. Bird failed me from the fucking recorder. So, if you're listening, Sally, if you're listening, Mrs. Bird, up yours. Anyway, enough of the pineapple donuts. Now let's move on.
Music, jokes aside, music, huge part of this soundtrack, which was massive. But when did you see this movie? Because I was kind of looking back at it. And, this movie was 1984, and we wouldn't have watched it until, 1987?
I don't think this was the first Eddie Murphy movie that I saw. Because I saw The Golden Child in the cinema, as we've discussed before, because I looked 28.
How old were you? I mean, you're pretty good at maths. How old were you when this movie came out?
I was 9, Gow. Thank you. I got no dramas with solid numbers. It's when arseholes sew in 0.25s. If this came out in 1983.75, I'd be fucked. So anyway, look.
But 84, though. You would, no, none of us, there's no way we would have seen it in 84. What were you doing in 84?
Mate, I was playing under 9s for the Cougars. That's about the highlight of my life, I reckon. That was my first year of rugby.
Was your first year rugby under 9s?
Under 9s, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always thought that I was too big to play. I didn't want to hurt anyone. Then I started playing, and I still didn't hurt anyone. 1984, the famed Grand Slam. Wallabies win the Grand Slam.
Yeah.
Mark Ellis scores a try in every test match. One of the great VHS videos that I ever owned. The 84 Grand Slam tour.
I can't remember what I would be doing in 1984. Far out.
Where were you going to school, G? Were you in Sydney then?
Yeah, Wheeler Heights.
Wheeler
Heights.
Yeah, he was a Wheeler Heights guy.
School for the gifted.
Yes. Did you were the Ducks of Wheeler Heights, Gow?
Yeah. 86, though.
Yeah.
Good year, 86.
86 is a good year. He's a good year. But anyway, enough of that bullshit. We'll get to 84 a bit later. Let's listen to the trailer.
Before we get on, I agree. But music is what made me think about 1984, because I had to think back about what I was listening to in 1984. Because if you look at the albums of 84, it was just absolutely ridiculous. So Thriller actually came out in 83, but still sold more albums in 84 than pretty much everything else. But to just go through a couple of other things that were on my playlist at that time, and I'm sure yours.
This would be good.
The Swing, In Excess.
In Excess.
Oh, yeah.
Original
Was that the
Sin
follow-up-
Burn
was
for
it-
you.
The follow-up to Shabu Shabar?
Preceded Shabu Shabar.
Okay,
but very good. Born in
Just
the
wanted to
USA,
say
The
Shabu
Boss.
Shabar.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Australia, these were the top-selling albums. So Rodney Roode live. Now, Rodney Roode didn't jump onto our radar for another couple of years, but in year 6, we thought Rodney Roode was the most piss-funny thing on the planet. So hasn't aged as well, old Rodney Roode, but we
No, he's
definitely
not.
enjoyed our bootleg tapes when we were in year 6. The Footloose soundtrack, 1984.
Yeah.
A massive favourite of mine was Pseudo Echo, Autumnal Park. Came out in 1984 with There's a Beat for You in My Heart. Great track. Destination Unknown. It was a year before Love and Adventure, which is my favourite Pseudo Echo album, in case you're wondering. And Damo Giles is probably the only one who's interested in this particular part of the podcast. But for me, it was compilation albums were the biggest for us
Definitely.
back then. So
Definitely.
in 84, despite the fact that it came out in 83, I was listening to Through the Roof 83 on absolute rotation. Now, let me just go through some of the tracks on Through the Roof. So Pat Wilson's Bop Girl, Dragon, Rain, Don't You Go Out in the Rain.
Great song.
Come a
Shout out to
Chameleon,
Sonny Payne.
Culture Club, Red Red Wine, UB40, Paul Young with just wherever I lay my hat.
Yeah.
What a track. Moonlight
Yeah.
Shadow, Mark Goldfield, Maniac, Michael Cimbello from the
Great
what's
song
that?
from Flashdance.
Yeah, Flashdance. That's
Yeah, from Flashdance.
Maniac.
Great
What a
song.
track. And that was just the first side. Anyway, it started off compilation albums being a massive thing. Like every year you'd grab that. Choose 85 was the next, and Throbbin 84 was another one we had. So compilation.
I think I
albums were
had
big
I
back
had
then.
1986. Was it 86 Up in Lights? Was it 84
Yes,
Up in Lights?
yes,
I can't
no,
remember.
No, we'll throw it out on the line, but I think it was probably 86. So anyway, when I think 84, it was when I really discovered pop music, and I was into it quite a bit. But no, I wouldn't have seen this until 87 at least.
Just digressing while we're on to 80s music, what was the first album you ever owned or ever bought, Morgs, when Gow? What would be the first album you ever bought?
Oh, yeah, mine was the Flashdance soundtrack. That's why I know
Okay.
Maniac so well. Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
I got that when I went to my grandparents' place at Narrabeen, there on the lagoon, and just played it over and over on my little Tiak stereo, and yeah, it was fantastic.
Gow, what about you?
Mine was the Black Sorrows.
I wish you were lying. I wish
Chained to
you
the
were
wheel.
lying.
No, I think it was Michael Jackson. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that my sister Kelly and I had Michael Jackson
Thriller.
That was the first one I can remember having, and we used to put the cassette in. That's as far back as I can go.
Yeah, I think the first tape I ever bought myself was George Michael Faith. That was 87, I think.
Yeah.
So I was not huge into music until probably
What about Ghostbusters? When was that?
Ghost was 84. Ghost was 84, but I don't think I would have bought
You
anything.
didn't
I
buy
think,
the album for that?
no, I think the first one I remember distinctly at Sandy's Records in DY, going down and buying George Michael Faith.
You were saying about Ghostbusters before. That Ray Parker Jr. track, who are you going to call? It was played during early morning TV, I remember, as a standalone video clip a lot around that time, which was bizarre that they would chuck that on in the middle of morning programming, watching the cartoons or whatever it was. I've got a distinct memory of watching Ray Parker Jr. doing his thing with Ghostbusters.
It's a great one.
I've just looked up the Hits album.
One of the great theme songs.
Wham,
Ghostbusters.
Freedom, Alison Moyet, all cried out.
Oh God.
Laura Branigan, Chaka Khan, Billy Ocean.
Oh, is it Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car?
It's Caribbean
Oh,
Queen.
even better. Now we're sharing the same dream.
Great
and our
track.
hearts will beat as one.
Careless Whisper, following up for you, George Michael.
God, I love a bit of Careless Whisper. Anyway, enough on this. We've digressed. I'm sorry. Now
We could keep going on this for a long time.
We could, and we're not going to. I'm pulling the reins right in. Woo fuckers. We're moving on. It's time for the trailer.
What were you doing in California anyway?
I was working.
Working where?
Beverly Hills.
Axel!
Hey, Mikey.
you don't mind if I ask around a little bit, do you?
Don't do a damn thing. Stay out of this.
You know, this is the cleanest and nicest police car I've ever been in my life. This thing's nicer than my apartment.
I just got off the phone with an Inspector Todd in Detroit. He says if you're out here investigating the Tandino murder,
How you doing?
you needn't bother coming back.
You haven't the slightest idea who you're dealing with.
Look, all three of us are cops. We should be working together.
Cover me.
Police! You're all under arrest!
You do that again, I'll shoot you myself.
Now, please something to drink, a wine, a cocktail, espresso.
No, I'm fine, thank you.
I'll make it myself right back there with a little lemon twist. It's good. Try it.
Yeah, what a great trailer. They knew how to make a trailer back in the 80s, there's no doubt, and Eddie Murphy just kills it. Eddie Murphy just kills it. So let's talk about how this movie rates. And surprisingly, it rates really, really well because not many movies from the 80s do, but this one holds up really well. IMDb's got it at 7.3 out of 10, which I think is low. And I'm probably giving myself away there, but I think that's low. Again, this is 2 weeks in a row. We've got a certified fresh movie on the Tomato Meter at 83%. And with an 82% audience rating, this was obviously both very popular with the public and the critics, which is great, and deservedly so. Eddie Murphy just absolutely crushes this movie.
Yeah, and it was a blockbuster in terms of revenue or money made as well. We'll get to that when we get to the gross.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
But
I can't. I can see it be 83% certified fresh for sure.
Yeah, no, and we don't know what that means. All we know is we think it means it's pretty fucking
83
good.
is pretty good.
83 out of 100. I'll take it every time. So, Gow, why don't you tell us a bit about the cast?
Well, where do we start? We just go straight to Eddie.
Absolutely.
And we've already talked about him. I mean, he'd come up through SNL. I think he was cast in SNL in 1980 when he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
And, came up through there, but then straight into 48 Hours. Massive hit straight away, 82.
Nolte, Morg's favourite.
Yep. Morg's favourite. Then into Trading Places, 83. What a great movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis steals the scene.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Really good movie. And then did Delirious 83, and then into Beverly Hills Cop. But then from there, Golden Child, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Coming to America, went through Harlem Nights, Boomerang, Distinguished Gentleman, The Nutty Professor, couple of bad ones in there. Then Shrek.
I actually really, really like The Distinguished Gentleman, even though it's a shitty movie. It's actually one of the guilty pleasures that I sort of return to. Not every year, but every now and again, I've given it a watch.
Oh, quick question for you.
That
Coming to America was your
room.
Sorry?
Well,
Wanking in your top bedroom. That's the other guilty pleasure.
I feel no guilt about that.
The Target catalogs.
I am
in the guilt
beyond
years.
I am beyond the guilt years.
Here's a quick question for you, Whitey.
Yeah.
Coming to America was your favorite Eddie Murphy movie. What about Coming to America?
It's horrendous. Do you know I've not watched the whole thing? I've watched about 35 minutes of it, had to turn it off. It was disgraceful.
I haven't watched any of it based on your recommendation.
Yeah. And I don't think I'll return to it. I couldn't get through it. It was reeked of the grab for cash, and it was shocking. Morgs, have you seen Coming to America?
Same as you. I've seen a bit of it. Horrible.
Yeah.
Do not
Horrible.
watch it. Do not watch it.
That's a hot take from Born to Watch. It's do not watch Coming to America.
Such a shame, but yeah, pathetic.
Yeah. Didn't need to be done. Anyway, Gow, who's up next?
I'm just looking up. There is a Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Yeah, it's rumored
in
though, isn't it?
pre-production.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's been in pre-production for a long time.
Oh, it's one of Morg's scripts.
It is. It's one of Morg's scripts. I actually think he might be talking about it in Film School for Fuckwits.
Oh, look, I've got a few facts about Eddie. We can get into them later though.
Can we actually, before we go into the facts about Eddie, let's talk very briefly about Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Can we not?
Because it is fucking terrible.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. So anyway,
I saw it about a year ago. I flicked it. I was like, oh, Beverly Hills Cop, had so many good memories. Turned it on and was just...
John Landis directed it. I think John Landis directed it, and it is horrible. Anyway, we've said enough about Beverly Hills Cop 3. What were you going to say, Gal?
Oh, there's a bit of stuff about Eddie. He was obviously on a tear in that early 80s or mid 80s. But he was actually cast to be in Ghostbusters as the role of Winston Zeddemore. And that was going to be a much bigger role because Eddie was obviously quite a big star, but he turned it down to do Beverly Hills Cop. So the role went to Ernie Hudson.
Doors.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it worked out for him.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't imagine Ernie Hudson in Beverly Hills Cop.
He was offered the lead role of Who Framed Roger Rabbit that went to Bob Hoskins. Oh, he turned it down, and Bob Hoskins took it, and he apparently is
Well,
not happy that he made that decision.
well,
88.
in all honesty, when Eddie Murphy turns you down, Bob Hoskins is the ultimate choice next.
Well,
isn't
it
he?
is. That's who you go to,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
But his movies are ranked the fifth highest grossing. He's the fifth highest grossing actor of all time, with films up to 2016 rating $3.8 billion.
Yeah.
That just shows how big a star
He's
to me
massive.
he was. Like,
A lot of that is Shrek, though.
well,
it would be,
yeah, to be
but
fair.
still, a lot of money. A lot of money.
Well, some of those movies, we'll get to the gross, but he was earning a lot of money then. He was a huge star.
Yeah, he was massive. Massive. Who's up next here?
Actually, he was going to be in Bad Boys as well.
Really?
Turned it
For
down,
Will
yeah.
Smith? Will Smith's
Yeah,
character.
he was going to be
really?
opposite Wesley Snipes.
Wow.
Yeah, the sports action star.
Yeah, very talented.
Judge Reinhold. I really like Judge Reinhold.
One of the best names in Hollywood.
He's good. Edward Ernest Reinhold.
Right.
Yeah.
I never knew that. Well done.
His dad named him Judge when he was a kid, like Tiger.
Well, if you were named Edward Ernest, you'd hope you get a nickname pretty quickly.
Edward Ernest Reinhold Jr. And he went, no, I'm Judge, Dad.
Yeah, it's like Dan's cousins.
It is. Mate, been a lot of things. First role in Wonder Woman. He was in Stripes. He was Elmo in Stripes.
Yeah.
One of his early roles.
Stripes is
Fast
great.
Times at Ridgemont High, Brad Robinson.
Mate, Brad Robinson slapping it in the bathroom to Phoebe Cates. Brilliant. What a movie,
Yeah.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That will be on Born to Watch. Even if you knobs don't turn up, I'll just steal that one myself.
Yeah. Good movie.
I'll tell you what, I'll pay to listen to you do a solo pod, Morgs. It would be fucking amazing. I can't wait for that. What else we got, Gow? Keep on going.
Mate, he was in Gremlins and then obviously the Beverly Hills Cop franchise, the Santa Claus. Not much beyond that. John Ashton is next up. I really like John Ashton. He has a good role in this movie. This was his first role in Beverly Hills Cop, well, real major role. But he's in Midnight Run in 88. Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah.
He was in. Had a couple of roles in small things. He's been in the A-Team, been in Hardcastle and McCormick. Simon and Simon.
Simon and Simon.
Cracking 80s shows.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so not much else to report on John Ashton.
He almost, I'm going to spoil a little bit here, but I think Taggart and Rosewood almost steal the movie.
They do.
They are awesome.
There's a bit of a story behind that too.
But anyway, let's
We'll
keep
get
going.
to that.
Yep.
Lisa Eilbacher,
What a
who
great
plays
sort.
Jenny. Yeah, good sort. I didn't realize this. She was in this. She was actually in An Officer and a Gentleman. She was Seeger.
Oh, really?
So she's the one that couldn't climb the
couldn't climb the rope.
Hey,
Yeah.
Seeger.
Yeah.
I never realized that.
Right. Okay. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Well done, Gow.
But was in a couple of things. Was in 10 to Midnight with Charles Bronson, Leviathan, and The Last Samurai, but had given up acting since 95. Got out of it.
Yeah.
She's now a bodybuilder.
When you say you've
Took
given up
bodybuilding.
acting, does that mean you can't get a job? Or does it mean you just got over it?
I don't know.
Yeah. It's a bit like quitting music. It's just you can't do it anymore. You're shit at it. Yeah, I quit.
Mate, next up is Ronnie Cox.
Yeah, I got Ronnie Cox. How good is he?
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in a few good roles.
Well, he's in three of the best movies of the 80s and 90s.
Go.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep.
Total Recall.
Yep.
RoboCop.
Yep.
And Total Recall and RoboCop will be done on Born to Watch, along with the solo pod of Fast Times at Ridgemont High with Morgs, which we're all looking forward to hearing.
He was also in Deliverance.
Yeah, he was.
So he was the one that instigated the dueling banjos.
He's the dueling banjo guy. Yeah. He's the guy they find, and his body is just shredded.
Yeah.
It's all indifferent.
God, that was a brutal movie.
Yeah, it's a
Different.
It's a one watcher. Yeah, squeal like a pig, yeah.
Stephen Burkoff.
Yeah, good 80s
Victor
bad
Maitland.
guy.
Yeah,
good 80s bad guy.
Good bad guy. Just quietly, what about his? I know I might be going into scene here, but what about his get up?
What about the jacket?
It's like
Is it
it's
like
a karate kimono. Yeah, it's like
It's
a
a
kimono
fucking kimono.
thing
Yeah.
over his suit.
Yeah, it's shit.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's shit ass.
But he was in The Clockwork Orange, Octopussy, Rambo: First Blood Part 2.
Yeah, he plays the baddie, the Russian.
The chopper. Was he in the chopper?
No, he's the Russian. He's the baddie Russian.
Yeah. Podolsky.
Yeah.
And then we hit Jonathan Banks, who most people would know from Breaking Bad, if you've watched Breaking Bad. Has anyone here not watched Breaking Bad?
I know who fucking Jonathan Banks is. Okay, I know who he is.
How embarrassing. How can you
Who is he in
talk
Breaking Bad, though?
Talk
He's the
about
guy.
film and TV on the line.
He's the
and
guy
not
with
have
the
seen
stuff.
Breaking Bad.
He's the guy with the thing and the stuff. Okay.
He's Mike Aaron Trout.
Right.
Great role in that too. I really
Yeah,
like
he's amazing. He's amazing in Breaking Bad. He's one of my favorite characters.
Paul Reiser with a very small role in the first movie.
Can I talk about my hatred of Paul Reiser
Go
and
for
where
it.
it stems from?
Mad
My hatred
About
of
You?
Paul. Huh? Well,
Mad About
no,
You?
it's before that. It's before that. Carter J. Burke from Aliens.
Yeah.
Hatred. He is forever painted as Carter J. Burke moving forward. I don't care who he played in any other movie. I hated his guts because of what he did. He was a scumbag in Aliens, so I hated him. Same as Jay Moore. Jay Moore in Jerry Maguire as Bob Sugar. Hate him as well. Any character he plays in any other movie, he's just Bob Sugar. Hate his guts.
Mate, Paul Reiser went to the premiere of Aliens with his sister and went in there and said, look, I just played the role that I want to play. And throughout the movie, his sister punched him in the stomach. She was that full on.
Good.
And he was like, oh, this isn't going to go well
No.
for the public when this gets out.
No, he's a fuckstick in that movie.
Yeah.
He's the worst. Okay.
But yeah, that's his mate thing. He was in Concussion and he's in Stranger Things.
He is in Stranger Things. He's sort of reprising a similar role to the Carter J. Burke role, to be honest. It's good. He's good in Stranger Things, but I still hate his guts.
Yeah. And then we get to Bronson Pinchot as Serge.
Well,
how good a tiny role in the movie is that?
Yeah, it is for no other reason but for comic value. But look, he didn't hit the heights until he played Balky in Perfect Strangers.
Well, he got Balky through this.
Yeah, well, so he should have.
So do you know the story behind this, or we keep that for later?
I think we keep it. We'll keep that for later.
Okay.
Because I'm sure it's in Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Can be.
Yeah. All right. Well, Gal, if you want to go now, just
no. I've been overridden, so whatever.
How's that? Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
We're done. Well done. What about the gross and stuff, Gal? Why don't you tell us a bit about that?
All right. This film had a budget of 14 million, and 4 million of that was for Eddie Murphy.
Shit.
They brought in at 13 million, but it grossed 334 million worldwide, 234 million domestically. So it was above Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom was the highest grossing movie of the year at 333 million, but only 179 in the US. So it was higher in the US, or Beverly Hills Cop was. But I mean, above Ghostbusters, above Gremlins, Karate Kid, Police Academy, Footloose, Terminator, Purple Rain, Amadeus, which won all the awards. Amadeus won, I think, 8 awards that year.
Malkovich.
Yeah, it did. Like, this is, I mean, it made 15 million in its first weekend, in its first 5 days, I should say.
Yep.
And was number 1 for 13 weeks. That shows how big this movie was. Like, I think of this as a movie that, you know, would have done well and would, you know, we kind of liked it, like a lot of the movies we've done, but it actually was one of the top movies.
Well, I think 84 was probably the year when I really discovered cinema. I had seen movies before that, but I think I've already told the story on the podcast about seeing Ghostbusters 7 times, and that's in 84. So, and movies ran for a long time at the cinema back then. So there's probably a chance that in those 7 times that I saw Ghostbusters, the Beverly Hills Cop might have been playing at Ring 'em All Twin at the same time. But,
no doubt.
But never really, I was too much of a goody two-shoes to go and try and get into that.
Mate, it was nominated for for an Academy Award, for a BAFTA. Didn't win any of those. Won a Grammy for the best score. So
Yeah.
Harold Faltermeyer and team, you know, won that.
Of what fame? Faltermeyer. What other movie has he scored that we've recently done?
Oh, he has. I can't think of it.
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Mm.
That's
well,
right.
Top Gun
That's
Maverick.
right.
They just
that's
repurposed
right.
the score, but yeah, he scored Top Gun.
Won a People's Choice Award for Favorite Motion Picture, and it won a Stuntman Award for the opening
for the truck driver.
Truck,
yeah, that's a good chase, man.
Because I was watching that, going, how much cash did they burn through in this scene?
How bad were the cop cars in that scene though?
What about the big, like they've got the big
siren
light on the top? Yeah,
the big siren. That's in my notes. It was they were the ugliest cop cars of all time.
Terrible.
Yeah. Anything else, G?
No, that's it.
So obviously, Morgs, this is a favourite movie of ours. We're talking about glowing endorsements already. I've set the over and under here at 50. This movie came in at 84. How would you sit with over and under 50, seeing this movie? How many times? Morgs, what do you reckon?
This is I only had a few movies on VHS, and I'm sure this was one of them. I had Die Hard, and I think maybe Predator. and every afternoon, I reckon I flicked this on when I was a tacker back in Cromer in the hood. So yeah, I think over 50, I'd have to call this one Damo. Fuck you. So yeah, I reckon 50 plus.
Well, surely you had Aliens on tape.
I beg your pardon.
You used to
Sorry,
watch
man.
that daily.
Yeah. Sorry, Aliens, Die Hard, this, and Predator. I reckon were the four I had on rotation. Could pick up G. Sorry about that. That's embarrassment.
And out of those four, Morgs, you like them all still?
Well, I don't want to give it away because I don't premature adulate. But Aliens, yes, obviously one of my favourite movies to this day. Predator, yeah, I don't mind it. And what was the other one I was bullshitting about?
Die Hard.
Die Hard, obviously. So yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
pretty much.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. What about you? How many times do you think you've seen this over and under 50?
Over 50 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
I could have probably put this at 100. I think this is a movie that I agree with Morgs. It's just watched over and over and over.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't put it past myself to watch it and then restart it again and watch it again when I was younger. So yeah, great movie. So Luke Nixon, this would be a yearly watch for me.
To watch it in the nude there at Amble Whitey with a box of tissues next to your bed.
I did a lot of things at Amble Whitey with a box of tissues next to the bed, Morgs.
You love the Kleenex.
Right. Look, shout out to Kleenex, lifelong sponsors. Some of the best times of my life I've shared with Kleenex. Anyway, look, before we slide into the categories, I've got a couple of questions I'd like to pose to you guys. And I'm sure they'll be covered later on, but I'm just going to pose them straight up front. So the first one, what the fuck are bearer bonds, for one? This is such an 80s commodity because it's in this movie, and it's actually going to be in the next movie that we cover, which we'll release later on. What are bearer bonds? Can someone explain that to me?
Did they have those in Lethal Weapon as well?
They do have
Heat.
Was that, oh
Heat.
no, that was
Krugerrands.
Krugerrands, of course.
Morgs, you're in the industry.
Yeah, so all I can ascertain, I've never used them in one of my scripts, but it's a good plot device because they're negotiable. So you can steal them, and it's not like stealing a check which has got Matt White written on it. So you can't do anything with it. So it seems to be a really insecure form of currency that just happens to work well as a plot device in a movie. But yeah, turns up in so many movies. Heat definitely always springs to mind when they grab the bearer bonds there. But yeah, I had the same thing. Bearer bonds, very much an 80s/90s part of the script.
Mate, they must be worth something because poor old Mikey Tandino, got taken down.
We're getting to Mikey. We're getting to Mikey now. What exactly is the relationship between Axel and Mikey?
They were old buddies along with Jenny. I'm trying to think back.
Were they lovers?
Well, they could have been. Who knows?
It's very odd. I find the whole thing to be
Eddie's a busboy.
Eddie fuck everybody.
Eddie's got 10 kids.
Yeah, Eddie don't
He's
mind.
throwing it around.
Eddie don't mind.
They were old friends. Not sure if it's school friends, but the three of them were old friends. But they'd remember in the scene at the start when he talked to me, he says, "You stole the car," and he goes, "Why did you never tell on me?"
Yeah, because I love you, man. Because I love you, man.
Because it was Grand Theft Auto or Larceny, whatever it was. But they were obviously tight back in their bad days, and Mikey stayed on the bad side.
Yeah, he had a real
cop,
but he had a real opportunity to slay Jenny. Like she was up for it, I reckon. If he had a crack at Jenny, she was all up for it. And I don't know, is he pining for Mikey? I don't know. It's just a question.
That's a twist.
Yeah, it's just a question. Anyway, last question. What the fuck is with the art gallery? Is anything in there considered art? Let's be honest, that's another 80s thing, right? Just shit art. Morgs, have you got any shit art in your house that would be worthy of 80s?
I got 0 out of 100 for art in year 7, and that was the last time I did any art. You're asking the wrong fucking guy.
True. I'll tell you what, Morgs, your hat's a bit art.
So let's slide into the categories: the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to talk about the things that we liked about the movie, things that we thought were a bit average, and obviously the ugly. Morgs, let's get you to start on good, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, I had a few thoughts on good. I mean, one of the things that sprang out to me, though, was this was kind of the first buddy cop movie. It kind of everything kind of spawned from here. So there was similar Cop with a friend, like 48 Hours. You look at that, that's Cop and a convict type thing where they start off as enemies and forge a friendship type thing. But the buddy cop trope has become such a common part of film history since this movie. But you got to think that hadn't happened in the early 80s. So I think it's really impressive that this kicked off that type of film that we love so much. And I also really like the way that this film balances the humor and the drama and the action. Like it's really interesting how, and on the rewatch, it was very apparent that there's no real dead bits, and there's no times where they're using the wrong bit in the wrong scene. Like there's dramatic bits when he's facing Victor Maitland and he's accusing him of killing his friend Mikey Tandino, yeah, and it's perfect the way that the tone is then. But then there's other slapstick moments throughout, like the banana and the peel pipe and shit like that, which are comedic gold. And then the action sequences like the start, which old mate won an Oscar for, or got nominated for an Oscar for. I think that is, it's pretty hard to try and lots of films after this tried to get the same, like ones that spring to mind, like Bad Boys, was very similar. They would try and do the action, try and do the comedy, try and do the drama as well. And I think to a point, Bad Boys doesn't do it too badly, but Beverly Hills Cop was the first to do it really, really well. And I think a lot of films owe a great deal of gratitude to Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah, no doubt. It's also probably the real first action comedy, really. Like you can say 48 Hours is probably, but this is
that's a drama with a lot of comedic moments, but not even a lot, just a few comedic moments.
He's a comic foil. Like, this is a comedy first, I think. Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah,
this would be. I think I would class this as comedy first, and I think it's really it starts the trend, like what you said, Morgs. It's not only the first real buddy cop movie, but it sort of bucks the usual trend and it puts comedy in front and puts the action to the back. It's a bit like a mullet, it's all party at the front.
Party at
the front, but business at the back, like it's a bit of a reverse mullet. But, Gail, what do you reckon for good?
Well, obviously, Eddie is good. I mean, this just showcases how good he really is.
He's great.
And he's just great. And he's charismatic and the camera loves him and everybody loves him. And he was so big at this time just because of how good he was. But what I really loved about it was just how they were able to show he's so quick with his talk. The scenes where he comes out, he's coming up on the spot to get out of trouble, like the hotel, the Rolling Stone magazine, the Harrow Club when he turns into Ramon, the FDA inspector in the warehouse. It just shows his talent to be able to come up and he can bring that stuff up and do it so well and pull into a character. It just shows his comedic genius to me. That to me is what I love. On the other side, what I loved is the really theatrical deaths that they have. It's 80s deaths.
Yeah.
Right?
How many bullets do they lay into Maitland at the end?
Yes. Not only do they lay the bullets in him, but then they've got to throw him down the stairs too.
Yeah.
So he's got to roll down the stairs at the end. And when they kill Zach, Jonathan Banks, he actually turns his head and runs backwards into the glass cabinet. Like they shoot him and he turns his head and runs backwards into the cabinet and smashes himself on the ground. It's just so theatrical, which kind of just it's kind of the time though.
He had a similar death in Breaking Bad though, didn't he? Where he fell into the glass.
No, not at all.
No. Oh, okay. Sorry, it's different thing, different guy.
Just watch it. Just fucking watch it. Just watch
Jono, right?
Just watch Breaking Bad. Just watch it.
It's hard. You've mentioned all the good. Look, Eddie is he's quality. He's great in this movie, and you've mentioned a lot of the stuff that I was going to talk about. But you're right, Gal. When he assumes a character, when he becomes someone other than Axel Foley, that's when he shines. When he's on the cuff, he's off the cuff, he's flying off the cuff, and I love that warehouse scene. That's amazing when he becomes the inspector. And it's just fucking hilarious. He's so good. He's so clever.
But he's so laid back as a character, and then he's so quick, with the lines too. And it just brilliantly showcases.
And because we've punted Needle Drop because Kick-Ass Credit Song has just become an animal and we're trying to save some time there. The music in this movie is second to none.
Yeah. Really
good. It is a
good.
great soundtrack and a worthy winner of Academy Award. But The Heat Is On. Glenn Frey is the best. Glenn Frey, this song from Glenn Frey, The Heat Is On, and Boys of Summer are two of the greatest 80s songs of all time.
Yeah. I love Boys of Summer.
I love Boys of Summer.
It's good.
Love it. Love it. Really takes me back. But Morgs, you were right. Starting at the start of the show, just kicking off with The Heat Is On into the Neutron Dance. Not only is it great music, but it's actually a great part of the movie. Like, it's non-stop. And, exactly what you're getting. It's really, really fucking good.
There's a couple of songs in there by Patti LaBelle. Stir it up. And Nasty Girl. Who can forget that?
Well, shout out to Goobs, who has been singing Nasty Girl for about 25 years. Tonight, you want to dance with me? You think I'm a nasty girl. In the strip club, just one of the best. It's incredible. It's so fucking good, Nasty Girl.
Written by Prince.
Well, it's no doubt.
It was. And the stripper in the scene suggested that putting it in.
Well, and props to her. Let's slide
It's a good song.
Let's slide another dollar bill into the G-banger. Well done. I might even give her a tenner. But what about Taggart and Rosewood? Talk about buddy cop. These two, they are polar opposites, but just the best. I love these two.
They just bounce off each other so well.
Yeah.
You know, Taggart's so, he's the boss and he's
grumpy.
He's grumpy and he's straight.
Yeah.
And Rosewood's a little simpler, but you know, he's more malleable.
Yeah. I think you're drinking too much coffee.
So can we go into the story about that?
Yeah, please do.
So
good segue.
When is it Martin Brest who was the director? I don't think we went into the director.
We didn't.
But anyway,
we brushed the director 2 weeks in a row.
But he went in and he asked a few of these different, I'll call them couples, that he had acting partners to go through and do some of the stuff they were going to do. And he said to basically act like you've been a married couple and you've been married for 10 years and they just riff off each other. So that scene where they do the red meat.
Yep.
When he talks about the red meat, he goes, you just eat a lot of red meat.
Yeah.
That they did as off the cuff in that. And then it came into the movie and it was pretty much word for word. So that's how they got in. They just basically had that rapport with each other and that's how the two of them got cast.
Yeah.
But most of the stuff they did with Eddie Murphy in the movie was all ad lib. So the super cop scene, have you seen that?
Mate.
Did you have that in your listen to this?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
I didn't.
The super cop scene when they're talking, you can actually see John Ashton. He puts his because Eddie Murphy's saying, we're super cops and you could have run with it. And,
it's one of the best parts of the movie.
He's actually holding his eyes, pinching his eyes, but he's laughing.
Yeah.
Because because apparently it took so many takes. It's a bit like You Got a Mullet. Took 26 takes.
Mate, 26? You wait till we release the Filthy Luca remix of I Got a Mullet. Goes for 24 minutes.
Yeah, so that's how they all riffed a lot of that stuff in the movie.
Yeah, mate, it's such talent. Eddie Murphy, just such a talent. Of course, Serge, absolutely for no other reason, just to have a laugh. He's just a complete comic foil. There's no real need to be in the movie except just to laugh. And he's good. I laugh again at Lemon Twist. Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot. It's every time he talks, I'm chuckling with Serge.
So he was not. He's been in. We didn't talk about him, did we? Really in the movies, but he'd only been in a couple of things. He'd been in one movie, I think. He was in Risky Business. He was in Risky Business
yes,
for this.
He's one of Tom Cruise's mates.
Yes, yep. Barry. He hadn't been in much, but anyway, he came in this movie, and they kept pushing back the dates for it to film, and he wasn't a star at all. So, and he only had a small part. So he was like, and he was going away to Italy with his girlfriend, and he was like, I'm not going to do it. Like, if we're not going to film, I'm going to go. If we don't bring it forward or we don't do it now, I'm pulling out. That's it. And he just thought it was a bit part of the movie. And then once he did it, came back from his holiday, he got mobbed and there were people looking for autographs. And obviously he was awesome. And he was like that. And then he got into Perfect Strangers. Then he got all the other breaks he got. And he was like, I nearly didn't do it because he was just like, I'm not going to miss my holiday for this bit part.
Well, he's a good bit part. I'll give you the tip.
Fucking funny. He killed it, nailed it.
I had Ronnie Cox, but we've spoken about Ronnie Cox being in 3 of the best movies of the 80s and 90s. Anything else, Morgs? You got anything to add?
I mean, overall, I think that I'll come back to him in quotes, but I think Inspector Todd is a scene stealer as well.
Oh.
So very little screen time, but every time I watch this movie, I just piss myself whenever he's on there. I think he's brilliant. So yeah, I think that's probably part of the good is that whilst there's a lot of vignettes, a lot of scenes that seem like they're stitched together, and you mentioned about Bronson Pinchot, maybe it wasn't needed in the movie, but I think that's what makes the movie brilliant. It's just a whole heap of these scenes of allowing Eddie to flex his chops, but also all these bit player character actors who are just brilliant. So, and Inspector Todd's one of them for sure.
Do you think he's even better in Beverly Hills Cop 2?
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree.
Same with Paul Reiser. Gets more time.
They expand their roles. Beverly Hills Cop 2
Yeah.
is brilliant. I think that's a fantastic sequel. As far as sequels go, Aliens is definitely the best sequel for me, but Beverly Hills Cop 2 is up there with Godfather 2. So it's definitely a highlight.
Empire Strikes Back. Don't forget Empire Strikes Back.
Don't forget the Empire.
All right. Well, I think we covered quite a bit of the good. Anyone got anything for bad?
Yeah, I had one.
Yes.
The fact that this film is almost 40 fucking years old. 40 years. Do you guys remember playing Trivial Pursuit when you were kids?
Yes.
Remember how you'd always play against your oldies and they'd always know the answer to shit that happened, what you thought was years ago, because it was 20 years ago. And you're like, how do they know all these answers? Like, I'll never know as much as them. Yeah, you will. All you need to do is just live another 40 years and you'll know all the answers. So that's what I feel about this movie. I can't believe it's almost 40 years since this was made.
Yeah, it's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long time ago now. Yeah, you got anything for bad?
Oh, no, not really. A couple of things. Like when they throw him out the office window, I mean, there's no real reason to throw him out the window.
I've got that.
Yeah, it's a bit over the top. And just really convenient how they just happen to get in the warehouse and then the guy just walks in and opens up the bearer bonds and just starts talking about the bearer bonds in the middle of the work. Yeah. It's a little bit, but I know they're creating the story.
Well, look, on the window part, like I've been through a window and I got hurt. I got cut. I got shit all over my face. I got cuts on my legs. He gets nothing. He just lands on his back and then he just pushes his hands off the glass and up he gets. Like, the window part's not needed. It really isn't. And he does nothing to deserve it.
No, they kind of just 7 guys just throw him at the window. It is over the top.
Yeah. It's like, well, if I wasn't suspicious now, I'm fucking suspicious.
Exactly.
If I wasn't suspicious then, I'm fucking suspicious now. Yeah. Right?
You know, I was thinking about the other day where we did Roadhouse as well. We didn't talk about it, but the other thing that was a bit weird is how normalised knife play it was as part of Dalton's day. Like everyone was carrying a knife and slashing at him and trying to stab him, and then they were just thrown out like, "Oh, on you go, you ruffians!" You know, out of the pub. Like, not you just tried to murder me with a fucking deadly weapon.
Attempted murder. Yeah, I had that in my notes for Roadhouse. It was about attempted murder, and it's the same here. The 80s was excess in every way. They were throwing a shit ton of coke up their snorter, and they were trying to slash.
Bags.
They were trying to slash. They were trying to murder people at the first drop of a hat. Like, it was excess in every way. Again, nerdy 80s hitman, and one of them's actually in Total Recall. That's not the guy our mate that's in Breaking Bad. That really great character in Breaking Bad.
He looks a bit like Steve Zahn. I know the guy you're talking about.
He does look like Steve Zahn, but he's actually the guy with who's the baddie in Total Recall?
Cohagen.
No.
That's Ronnie Cox.
The henchman. What's his name? Michael Ironside.
Oh, yes.
Michael Ironside.
He does. Yeah.
He drives the car. This guy, the henchman, drives the car. But yeah, look, I don't have. I had Maitland's shirt or the kimono. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
It was he was channeling Dalton. It was very similar to one of Dalton's shirts. That was the jacket version.
I had one going into the scene where Mikey Tandino comes to meet him. So sits in his apartment eating food.
Yeah.
Now this is 84. So
with the fridge open.
So there's no GPS or anything like that. These guys must have followed him. The only way they could know he's in Detroit is they followed him.
Yeah.
So they didn't attack him when he's on his own in the apartment. They waited till he went and had a few beers and then attacked him in the hallway of a unit block.
Yeah.
And then knocked him out and then left Axel knocked out.
Shot him and with no blood splatter or no blood anywhere. And
in the hallway.
And then shot him again.
With doors all around everywhere.
Yeah. No, it was that's a bit of a nitpick. Anything for ugly?
That was it. That was my ugly.
Yeah. I got nothing for ugly. Morgs?
Nothing. No, definitely on the rewatch, nothing that sprung out at me.
You're right. That's just a nitpick.
Yeah. There's not a hell of a lot wrong with this movie. You got to really look to find some things that are ugly or bad even, and there's not much. So now we're going to move into Listen to This, where we talk about some rumors and behind the scenes stuff from the movie, Gowan. This is really your wheelhouse. This is where you usually bring the heat. What do you got?
Oh, geez, I've already gone through a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't know if I have any left.
Okay.
All right, I do have some left. This, you may have this already about Sly Stallone.
I do. It's my only one.
Well, I'll let you run it.
No, you go. No, you go.
Well, this was going to be a Sly Stallone script, and he'd given it a whole. He got involved in the script and gave it a massive rewrite, and it was going to be a dramatic action film. And Billy Rosewood was going to be called Siddons, was going to be killed off halfway through it. He actually renamed the lead actor to Axel Cabretti.
Oh, and we got him later.
Sign of things to come. Yeah.
86.
So anyway, and Jenny Summers was going to be his love interest, but then he was going to make it a really strong action film. Anyway, it was deemed too expensive for Paramount to produce, so he pulled out 2 weeks before it, and then they got Eddie Murphy, and obviously he ended up making Cobra with
in '86.
In '86 with Cabretti as the main character.
Marion.
So he made, obviously he just took all his ideas to that. They got Eddie Murphy to replace him, and it was only on 2 weeks' notice. But they also had Richard Pryor, Al Pacino, James Caan, and Harrison Ford was given the option of Axel Foley and turned it down.
Yeah, I can't see old Harry playing Axel.
Well, it would have been a different movie.
Would have been a different movie.
And Eddie just
would
makes
have been
his role,
probably
right?
more the Stallone style than the Foley Foley that we know today. Okay, I got one. When he checks into the Beverly Hills Palms, and he's abusing the people behind the desk, and he's saying, "I'm here to write an article for Rolling Stone called Michael Jackson Sitting on Top of the World." And in real life, Playboy actually wrote an article, Eddie Murphy sitting on top of the world. How fucking good's that?
Yeah. Very, very good.
It's good when you can quote yourself. Right. Yeah, very clever.
You got any morgues?
Yeah, a few. I mean, the one thing I always enjoyed and noticed it on the rewatch too was that there's a lot of scenes inside the Beverly Hills Police Department, which is, I'd always wondered at the time why it popped up so much. And if you look in there, it's all for 1984. It was a lot of computers and a lot of technology and everything going on. And apparently the idea was that they wanted it to look as little as possible as the police department in Detroit. So making it very much incongruent to where Eddie was coming from and Eddie's character. But they based it on the movie War Games with Matthew Broderick. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah, I saw that at the movies.
It made me think about it because you saw that at movies.
Yeah, I saw War Games at the movies.
Because that was 83.
83 War Games. Yeah.
Wow. So no, I never saw it at the movie. I saw it later on, but I enjoyed it. It wasn't a tic-tac-toe. The computer plays against Matthew Broderick and he has to beat him. Yeah. Anyway, so I thought it was amusing that they tried to make the police station of Beverly Hills look like War Games as making it as a place to protect rich people. Essentially, was what they were going for. So that was interesting.
Yeah. You got anything else?
I got one more.
Go, Gal.
Gilbert Hill, who played Inspector Todd.
Yeah.
He was actually a real life Detroit police homicide detective in a previous lifetime before he got into movies. And I don't think he did too many. He did the Beverly Hills Cop movies.
He just yells the whole time.
Yeah. He's awesome.
I'm tired of your bullshit.
It is the quintessential 80s copper that just yells the whole time. I love it. It's so good. Just got a little ass back there.
Oh, let's get into quotables because there's some good ones
that's
there.
it. So let's move. Well done, Gal. Good digression. And let's move into quotables. What do you got? Hit me more. Hit me, Morgs. Give me one, Morgs.
I make absolutely no bones about Inspector Todd being a scene stealer, and I had no idea he was an actual policeman because he was in this movie. Like, we always like swearing in movies, and it was definitely a giggle when we were younger, and it's probably a bigger giggle now. But his F-bomb count, like, is that fucking Foley in here? You mind telling me where the fuck you come off going undercover without authorization from me? What the fuck is this all about? You want to play some fucking bullshit cowboy cop? Go do it in somebody else's precinct. Don't you want to hear my side of the story? What's your fucking side of the story? Let's hear your side of the story.
I had that, Morgs. That is the best.
Yeah,
it's the best quote.
It's quite a tirade.
Okay, let's hear your side of the story. That's the best.
That whole sequence is just fantastic. And he's
and Paul Reiser. This is not my locker.
This is not my locker. Both of them scene steal. They have very little to do, Paul Reiser and old mate, and they just crush it. So yeah, love it.
Yeah, no, very, very good. Yeah, what do you got?
My other one is Eddie Murphy in the scene, or early in that scene, talking to Paul Reiser, and it's one that I use a lot, and I know that we all use a lot, is la 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 la. I am not listening to you, Jeffrey. My poor wife cops that a lot.
Yeah. Chrissy, she deserves it though.
That and the 7.
She cops that a lot less than the la 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 la. I'm not listening. She doesn't listen, so it's okay. We can say whatever we want.
She's gonna listen to this one.
Okay, I've got a very subtle one, but it's when he hands the keys to the car, the valet at the club, and he's like, "Can you put this in a good spot? Because all this shit happened the last time I parked here." Just on that, what's the go with shit 80s cars in American movies? They're the old sort of muscle car-y sort of shit cars.
Yeah. His car was terrible.
Terrible car.
It
Chevy
actually
Nova.
got dirtier as the movie went on.
Yeah. Terrible car.
And I got one. I got them for Surge. I mean, Surge only has those couple of scenes, but it's great. Achman. Achwell. It's not sexy.
Dude, when
What are you doing with his chest?
He's got the chest hair out. Yeah. Oh,
You look
mate.
like a dog.
He's so funny.
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot.
No, I cannot. I got that. That's so good. Nah, look, again, it's one of these movies where there's 1,000 quotes. And I think we've sort of covered some of the better ones.
You're not going to fall for the banana and tailpipe. I used to laugh my head off that.
Yeah. It's not that funny now. Like
No.
it's funny, but back then I found it hilarious.
Oh, man, I used to laugh so much at that.
Yeah. Because his voice doesn't sound that nasally as what he pulls off. But yeah.
Apparently,
That's
the director would they'd start a scene, and if they were having any troubles, he would just turn to Eddie Murphy and go, "Eddie, you got anything for this scene?" And Eddie would just think about it for 30 seconds and then improvise one of the scenes you see in the movie. Like he just absolute genius.
Yeah, no, very, very clever, very quick. Very quick, there's no doubt. Okay, look, again, there's 1,000 quotes, as we said before. There's some of our favourites. If you've got some favourites, we'd love to hear from you. Send it in to the Born to Watch podcast on Facebook and Instagram, or email us at borntowatchpodcast@gmail.com. And look, we always like the end of quotables because that means it is film school for fuckwits.
Yes, fellow fuckwits, thank you. Another week where we listen to an hour of dribble and then 3 minutes of actually learning something in film school for fuckwits. So this week, actually, that was one of our listeners that got me thinking about a pretty crucial bit of filmmaking that us in the business has spent a lot of time getting right for you guys. So, and John Bull, I don't know that it's his real name, but he pointed out a pretty funny continuity error in Commando. So this week I thought I'd talk about a little bit about continuity. So in the industry, we refer to continuity as the principle of making sure that all the details in a film are consistent from shot to shot and from scene to scene. So if a scene upholds the standards of continuity, each shot feels as though it seamlessly flows from the previous shot, reinforcing a sense of realism in our story. So in reality, however, because of the way we work in the business, it's likely that we film shots at a different time or in a completely different order. So for instance, if at the beginning of a scene, an actor picks up a delicious jalapeno margarita with their right hand, continuity dictates that they should be holding that glass with their right hand throughout the whole scene. But unfortunately, it doesn't always happen. So continuity problems occur often in scenes with establishing shots or master shots or long shots and medium shots or close shots. So establishing shots are wide views of the scene and include a lot of props and furniture and set the scene. And medium shots are more close up and focus just on the actor or actors if it's a two-hander without a lot of background. So during filming, our set crews often move all of the props and furniture into and out of the scene for various types of shots. So this back and forth is an easy way for visual continuity errors to sneak in. And I guess for us,
just on that, Morgs. Morgs. Like,
sure.
There's the famous coffee cup in Game of Thrones, right?
Absolutely,
which has now been taken back and been taken away. Now, in any of your films, have you had anything that's been major that you've caught in post before it's been released?
No, thankfully, all of my films are a long way from post production. They're not quite into production. they're in pre-production. But I'll tell. I mean, we can jump to it, but I will go through some common types of continuity errors. But now let me come back to it because I do have some tips that I use in my projects that can prevent continuity errors. But basically, it's a lot of this is for all you fuckwits out there. What's really good is if you have seen a movie a zillion times, like pretty much everything we talk about too, you can often watch your movie and see if you can spot continuity fuck-ups. And the most common to look for are prop and costume continuities. So like a different color coffee mug or beer mug or a different number of buttons buttoned on the shirt or the blouse of an actress or whatever. That's always an easy one. Acting continuity is another one where as filmmakers, we often take several takes of the same shot and take it from different from different widths, and it's slightly different each time. So it can often have an actor picking up a prop with the wrong hand or looking at a different angle when they have a response to an actor. So it's very easy for a continuity issue to happen with an actor. But time continuity is another one. Like
that's probably the greatest one, time continuity, isn't it?
We're shooting, like you often hear about, this is the best light or it's the golden hour. Like there's that's why a lot of
you said golden hour, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's the best light in the afternoon. But if you're shooting at a certain time and you want using natural light, then the shadows are going to be different if you're shooting at different scenes. So that there's a lot of time continuity issues that can happen with different lengths of shadow between shots, etc. But plot continuity, we've talked about a lot, like inconsistency with what's happening with the plot or subplots in a film. So these are all things that when you're watching a film, you can just keep an eye out for and feel really, really smart when you're telling your misso or whoever at the end of the day about what you've picked up. But one thing that probably it's a little bit over your level, it's probably just for me in the business, but camera and audio continuity is something that Whitey always bitches about because I'm always rattling my jalapeno margarita in the microphone or tapping the keyboard or, when these guys talk, I generally tune out and just wait till I get to say something.
It's called mic discipline.
Yeah, mic discipline, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but it's distracting variations in things like light levels or image sharpnesses or volume. That's another continuity. So anyway, some famous continuity errors, which is what old Johnny Bull got me onto. So Pulp Fiction, one of the more famous ones. So when you see Jules and Vincent going to grab back the briefcase and they get shot with the hand cannon, you can actually see the bullet holes in the wall prior to them actually getting shot.
100%, 100%.
So that's a pretty famous one. In Gladiator, now this one's, I count this more as a blooper than a continuity error, but if in the big scene, which is the Battle of Carthage, and they've got the chariots rushing around, when one of the chariots goes down, thanks to Rusty pulling a move with his ragtag bunch of Gladiator misfits, it falls over. You can actually see the gas strut in the back that's powering that. So again, that's a continuity error. But the one that was pointed out by Johnny Bull, which I think is really funny, is Sully's wreck/unwrecked kleiner Schwanz Porsche in Commando. So when Matrix tracks down and kills Sully, he commandeers that yellow Porsche and he flips it over and he drives off with Radon Chong. However, there's a massive continuity error related to the damage that car sustained. And the first
they should have died in that crash. They should have died in that crash.
No, that was her red car. They should have died, but in the kleiner Schwanz.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. In the Porsche, yes.
And the very next shot, you see it. He turns around and he drives off, and it's a completely undamaged car. So it's really funny. You can't unsee it once you've seen it, but who fucking cares? Commando's sick, and I can trage schwarze Spiegos. But you asked before, what are my tips for maintaining continuity? Take photos. So it's good to have someone on set taking still photos. It can be Polaroids to make sure that you understand how the continuity is doing. You have someone writing a detailed continuity report as well. Keep your shooting days together. Like, we all love to bludge and go out on the piss and maybe blow off a few shooting days, but it's better that you keep it tight because then you can remember actually what was fucking happening so that you don't fuck up continuity. And the best thing is hire a script supervisor like myself to make sure nobody balls it up. So, anyway, that's a bit about continuity.
Look, amazing, Morgs. You never cease to amaze me, the breadth of knowledge that you have in the industry. I can't wait till we start the Born to Watch filmmaking courses that'll be run by Dan on the Land, pulling his hat over his face and no one can see his head because he just wants to be...
I've started putting together a few segments of that course on my MySpace account, so it'll be up and running soon. And look forward to it. But there's absolutely no reason why you guys can't be in the industry like I am.
No, there is absolutely no reason why we can't be in the same industries that you are. You're right there, Daniel. Well done. Thank you, mate. I always walk away here a smarter man than I was when I walked in. So thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it, and keep bringing it. Keep bringing the heat. Now, we've gotten rid of Needle Drop and we've spoken a bit about the songs.
Just get to it. It's
now what is fast becoming four people's favourite part of the podcast, and it is the Stan Bush Kick-Ass credit song. And tonight, it's me. I'm a bit nervous because I'm going on a little bit of a different tangent here tonight, and I'm going to do the first kick-ass rock power ballad. I may have forgotten how the melody of the song goes, and I'm I'm actually have just been while Morgs was dribbling on in film school for fuckwit, so I think I may have just put another arrangement in and figured it out. So here we go. It's called Duffel Bag of Broken Dreams. Undercover Detroit City. The air is dirty and the crooks are gritty. My buddy Mikey took one in the head. He was on his knees when they shot him dead. For a plastic bag of bare bones, I'm gonna see if I can rhyme this whole song, 'cause nobody can stop the fish out of water Beverly Hills Cop. I got a duffel bag of broken dreams. Over in Cali, nothing's as it seems. And if I bring old Maitland down, burn his operation to the ground, I'm gonna need Taggart and Rosewood too. Without the three of us, we won't pull through. We're gonna risk our lives to stop. I'm just a fish out of water, Beverly Hills Cop. I'm gonna fuck this song right up. 'Cause I'm a Beverly Hills Cop. Done.
Solid effort.
Our first power ballad. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm
good way
fairly
to mix
certain
it up.
after that, it could be the last one.
Do you
anyway.
feel like that was the melody that you originally wrote
No.
or something? No.
No, it's definitely not the melody I originally wrote. In fact, I was slim shading it. It was just purely ad-libbed. I had the words there. I was just making it up as I went. So anyway.
Was it a melody to a song, or was it
No, just making shit
use your
up.
own melody?
Yeah, it was what I would call that an extended limerick. We'll call it Limerick School for Fuckwits, and that was chapter 1.
Choose your own melody?
Yeah, choose your own adventure.
Outstanding. Great job. Well played.
Great work.
Well, look, it's no. You got a mullet. It's definitely no. Don't tread on my tombstone, and it's definitely no double shot fucking Wednesday. That was I just fast sphinxter black speedos.
Mate, that has been described as the best English-German mashup since 99 Red Luft Balloons.
Yeah. Yes, I think you coined it that. Let's move into star of the show. Yeah, who you got? Who's your star?
Well, I think we've been through it. It's Eddie. It's Eddie for me. Yeah. Closely followed by Inspector Todd.
Yes.
Although Taggart and Rosewood, pretty good.
Yeah, they're very good.
There's a 3-2-1 there, but it's definitely got to be Eddie. He just kills the movie.
Yeah. Morgs, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with
play.
I mean, Eddie and Inspector Todd were my favourite characters, but there's no weakness. Everyone comes in, does a job, and smashes it out of the park. Just, great act. I'll give it to Eddie, but everyone else gets a close second.
Yeah, look, I'm with you guys. Eddie's the man, and everyone else is a close second. It's Eddie first. And there's a bit there. Look,
I like Jonathan Banks. He's really good. I do like him in that.
Yeah, I still don't really know who he is, but I'm going to take your word for it. He's one of the hitmen, and he was in Breaking Bad, not the guy that was in Total Recall. Okay, so we all agree it's Eddie Murphy's movie, and there's no doubt. And look, I think we can wax lyrical all we want about the greatness of Eddie Murphy, but it's here on show. Beverly Hills Cop sets the scene, sets the cinema world alight, and it's no doubt that he is a star to stay, and he has, and he stood the test of time. He's done a heap of shit films, but it's those diamonds in the rough, especially lately, that still make you think about how freaking talented this guy is. He's actually talking about doing another live comedy album, so that would be something good to see. I'd really enjoy to see that.
It'd be really interesting to see how he does one now as opposed to how he did one in 83 and 87.
Absolutely.
Because he's apologised for a lot of the jokes that he did.
You can't apologise. You can't apologise for that. You can't, though. You can't do that. It was great for the time. Amazing. Fucking funny. All right. So let's rate this one. And this is going to be interesting. I want to throw a couple things up to you about what we think we rate it as. We got bananas in the tailpipe. We got bearer bonds. Someone got to add something here?
No, bananas in the tailpipe for me.
Morgs, what do you think?
Yeah, say bananas in the tailpipe.
Yeah, okay. All right. Let's start with you, Morgs. How are you rating Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, nothing dropped in the rewatch. Almost 40 years old. I enjoyed it as much as I did watching it every afternoon back in the day. Four bananas in the tailpipe for me. Great flick.
Wow, that's big, Morgs. That's a 4 from you is really, really big. Gow, what do you got?
I got exactly that. Can watch it all the time. Still as funny as it was. It's four bananas and tailpipe for me. Oh, you're going to go the easy route, aren't you?
No. I was actually going to. I'm going to have to start going first because I'm giving this 4 as well. This is Eddie at his best. He doesn't get any better than this. He is fucking quality. So I tell you what, I can do this one. So that's 4 bananas in the tailpipes for Beverly Hills Cop. And Gow, where is that going to put it in the pantheon of Born to Watch movies?
It's going to be right up there in the pantheon. Well, no, it's into equal 4th with Step Brothers.
Yeah.
On 4 pieces of white dog shit just below the guard. Wow.
Yeah, look.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
And above Commando at 3.9 for elaborate European flat tops. So into 4, equal 4th.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. I can handle that. Equal 4th with Step Brothers. It's probably as rewatchable as Step Brothers, to be honest.
Yeah, 100% it is.
Yeah, definitely is. Okay, what are we watching? Morgs, is it still below deck for you?
No, but I'm under Below Deck Mediterranean, but Better Call Saul is just ramping up, just getting close.
It's great, isn't it?
Final
It's
episode
really
ever,
good.
as if you've fucking seen it, Knob. And I'm listening to a great podcast too, The Wire at 20, about obviously the seminal TV series that you also haven't seen because of...
No, that's not true. I have seen 71.6%
Yeah,
of
that
The
doesn't
Wire.
count. It's really good. It's with Method Man hosts it, and it's brilliant. So yeah, check it out.
Yeah, what about you?
I last night finished The Terminal List.
Thoughts?
Season 1, if there's another season. Oh yeah, really liked it. I think I said last week, at the first couple of episodes, I wasn't right into it, but it really grew on me. It's a different story.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And still watching the last season of Animal Kingdom as well. So got to get home tonight and watch another one of those.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. With Chrissy?
No.
Okay, yes. Okay. Surprise, surprise. It's not Will and Grace.
No.
Okay, I've been watching Blackbird, which stars Taron Egerton. It's on Apple. It's great.
Okay, I've heard some good things about this.
Yeah, I've watched 2 episodes. I think it's up to episode 4. I've only watched 2 of them, and it's really, really good. So he's in a jail, and he's been given an opportunity to get out of jail if he helps to break a case, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So that's the end of the show. Another one down that they're just rolling by. It's happening too fast. So we're going to slow it back down when we move in to the next movie. Or are we?
It's not being slowed down.
No, it's not at all. And Gow, what are we doing?
We are going into the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
And we'll talk about that, I'm sure. What is it?
Die Hard.
Yeah.
We're going big.
We are going big. We're going to Nakatomi Plaza.
Yeah, this is a big couple of weeks. Beverly Hills Cop into Die Hard.
Yeah, no, it's all happening. It's all happening. What do you think about Die Hard, Morgs? You pumped?
One of my top 4. I told you I put a lot of time into this movie back in the day, so love it. Can't wait.
We look forward to hearing your take on Die Hard and also the next chapter of Film School for Fuckwits and whatever dribble you decide to spew out of your mouth after having 4 margaritas and a bottle of wine. Again, we thank the sponsors for Morgs' pissed up shape that he was in this week. And we can't wait to see you guys again next week on the line as we tackle Die Hard. But for me, it's see you later.
See you, everybody.
I forgot to say, Gow, Eddie Murphy's got the same teeth as you.
He didn't grow real teeth?
Yeah, both of you just didn't get adult teeth.
Thank you, Daniel.
Goodbye.
See you next week.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Born to Watch. To join us on our journey into some of our favourite movies of all time, you can find us on all good podcast networks like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and share with your friends.